Iran has been an unmitigated disaster, I think, for the Biden administration, because simply nothing good has happened there, and they're on the trajectory for a nuke. So let's just bring us up to date.
Yeah, so the weird thing about the Biden administration is that almost every administration up to this point, you get in a new office and you look at the Middle East almost immediately, and you start game planning, like what's going to happen, what are we going to do, are we hands off, are we in?
Maybe I can build a legacy.
Yeah, typically, people tinker with it. The Biden administration just went the focus was to ignore the Middle East minus Afghanistan doesn't totally count.
They've been trying to ignore Afghanistan.
But they completely ignored Iran until now. And then all of a sudden Biden is like, okay, well, let's talk about resurrecting the nuclear deal, the 2015 Obama administration Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Which, if you actually read it, is an awful plan, which is why Trump pulled the U.S. out of it, because it's basically shaking the finger at Iran saying, don't build nukes, and if you pinky promise us that, we'll lift sanctions.
That's what it always felt like, but the establishment really denied that.
The establishment completely denied it, but if you actually read the deal, that's literally what it is. But so Trump pulled us out. Biden is, in the wanting to build a relationship with Iran, is saying, let's go back to the table. The problem is that Iran refuses to even hold direct negotiations with the United States. And so these talks have been going on in Vienna for months. And literally, they're in two different rooms down the hall. Iranian diplomats will not talk to Americans. They have to be shuttled back and forth between Europeans.
It's so petty.
It's so
the diplomat class is
petty.
So petty.
And so Iran keeps saying, we're not going to do direct negotiations with you unless you promise us that this deal is really going to go through. And Biden, his administration is like, yeah, it's going to go through. But his diplomats are walking away from the table. We had 3 people just left the negotiation table. They're like, no, we're not on board with what's happening. We're walking away. And so it's just a stalemate. And, lots of people are stuck in the middle. The UK particularly is stuck in the middle. And they're like, great, we're at a complete impasse. And in the meantime, Iran is enriching uranium and it's building weapons. Good for us.
Yeah, good for us. And there doesn't seem to be, Biden doesn't seem to have any ideas for carrots or for sticks.
No.
He's not been able to offer them, either not able or can't offer them anything that will get them to stop doing what they're doing.
No.
And the stick that we've been using, which is sanctions, it's not tough enough, it's not hard enough to actually make them back off.
No, Iran does not care about sanctions. And I think that's something that the American people, the voting population has to understand, is that a lot of countries, especially something like Iran that has a very complex black market and political structure, sanctions do not really affect them. I mean, a little bit at certain levels, you'll have inflation and all that sort of stuff, but it's not a big enough stick to hit them with, and no one wants to go to war with them. So you're just stuck in this weird twilight zone, and it's really, really messy, and it makes the U.S. look horrible on the international stage.
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it has to do with the media coverage, like you talked about. I think because this deal was first brought up under the Obama administration, which Biden was also a part of, it was covered as a good thing because anything that Obama did had to be great for the media.
Right.
Trump pulled out of it. Anything that Trump did had to be terrible, so it was horrible he pulled out of it. And now Biden wants to get back in it, so now it's good again. But the media has yet to actually understand what this deal is, how terrible it would be for, America, that it basically allows them to build nuclear weapons and just in exchange for a promise that they're not going to destroy us or whatever it may be. It's a super weak deal. It's a bad idea. The media has lied about it. And now I think what you're seeing is that people, the voting population, are just ill-advised about the bill and what it actually says because nobody has told them the truth about it.
Right. And I think it's just kind of this symptom of a way bigger cause of just people do not know and are not informed about what's actually being passed in legislation, what deals are being signed internationally. And like not even lawmakers are reading what's going on. And the media certainly is not explaining it. And so you're working with a lot of ill-advised people on almost every single level, from diplomats and presidents on down.